Mm. Hello, Tammy Antoinette here, thestarqueen.com. Tonight, I am, let's see, going live for the first time on YouTube, so I'm learning. So, yeah. Anyway, so the topic that I am discussing tonight is about common questions I hear about what is the difference between the modern tropical zodiac versus the ancient sidereal zodiac. This is modern astrology versus the ancient astronomer astrologer. Okay. So, and why then modern tropical Western astrology? And why do people whenever they come to me, I have clients, I hear, how come what do you mean I'm not the sign that I always thought I was? Right? This is news to me. So, common questions. Plus, Venus has just descended into the underworld, and I want to talk about that. Our most brilliant planet in the sky. She's making her underworld descent. And when does the age of Aquarius actually begin? And what does the dawning of the age of Aquarius mean? So, why do I practice ancient astrology as it was done in ancient Sumeria, Mesopotamia, Babylon? And why do I not follow this modern tropical zodiac that the mainstream astrologers use? Well, first of all, ever since I can remember, I felt like the stars were my home by just looking at the sky with my eyes. I felt comforted and so homesick all at once. Just this whole soup of feelings. I felt messages come down embodied by me as reminders of why I'm here. I have seen ever changing patterns and messages from the stars from the time that I was a small child. And I felt like I could project myself out there just like I was here on Earth. The night skies always felt to me like a place of solace, peace, love, divine love. I studied astrology in secret and as a hobby for many years. I had astrology consultations with professionals and even gave predictions. And then one day I had my first consultation with a sidereal astrologer. And the first words he spoke to me whenever we got on our Skype call was, "Tammy, you're an astrologer. Like, why are you calling me?" And I replied, "Well, I dabble, you know. I I can't stop myself." And he says, "Oh, no, not yet, huh? Well, you will be. And you will be a great astrologer, not only because of this, but because of this, that, this, and this over here." So at that moment, I felt validated. I felt like I finally had permission to be me instead of hiding and instead of trying to be what society and the church told me was acceptable of me. Um, I felt joyful. I felt relieved. And now I had to live in full responsibility and integrity of my passion and purpose. So I became a professional. I seeked out the best teachers. Okay. So I use what astrologers call the sidereal zodiac rather than the tropical zodiac. And the difference is the tropical zodiac that is used by modern Western astrologers is based on a projected image overlay. This is a 2D image that's not what we really see when we go outside and look on the celestial sphere. The modern tropical zodiac always, what they do is they place the overlay of 0 degrees Aries on the eastern horizon at the moment of the spring equinox. However, the sky is not fixed. It moves a degree every 72 years from our observation. And what we now see rising at that moment of the spring equinox is actually 5 degrees Pisces. We are in the age of Pisces right now. At the official beginning of the age of Aquarius in the year 2372, this is when we will see the change of the ages. We will see 0 degrees Aquarius rising on the eastern horizon at the spring equinox. So we see what the dawn is from the age of Aquarius incoming is, whenever we see the light of the sun's rays, we are blessed by the sunlight before the sun actually makes it to the horizon. So it's the same thing. We're only 5 degrees away, right? Which is another 350 years, basically. But so the Sidereal Zodiac is the 3D reality from our Earth's observation. Astrology would not happen without the observer. And according to quantum entanglement and quantum physics, the observer is very important. Astrology literally is the relationship between the observing human on Earth of the 3D celestial sphere. It's this relationship. So as above, so below is the first law of Hermes Trismegistus, the first documented astrologer. The Tropical Zodiac, it was used in ancient times to predict the seasons and to plan farming. So in the ancient royal libraries, where one could find the diaries of the horoscope, however, the real sidereal sky was recorded to guide our soul blueprint, our life purposes, innate gifts, talents, karmas, remedies, destiny, blessings, our path of growth, our direct path of growth, and like basically like a how-to manual for our individual lives. And in ancient times, the observing priest, astrologer, astronomer, one person, was the main consultant for royalty. And they still are this today. And you can research this on your own and see. But ancient astrology takes into account everything on the sky rather than what's only happening on the ecliptic also. And what's happening on the ecliptic that the modern astrologers use is what divides the solar year into 12, right? The 12 signs, the 12 months, 12 moons. Sometimes we have 13 moons, but usually in an ideal year, it's 12. But this is the solar year that is divided. And however, we've got 36 constellations that we can see with our naked eye alone. And everything on the sky is equally important. Therefore, this all has an effect just as much as those that are on that main ecliptic. So for example, one could have a prominent planet or point in Taurus, right? But then you can go deeper into the pictures. There's a big difference between this being with the constellation of, it's actually a nebula of the Pleiades, or with Perseus or Orion, or with the fixed star Aldebaran in the eye of the bull, or with Capella on the horn of the bull. Okay? So there's big differences here. And the ancient doctrines of, excuse me. The ancient doctrines of Hermes Trismegistus have only recently been translated by astrologers within the past 15 years. So this was Hermes, 5500 BC, okay? These manuscripts, they'd been translated from the ancient unspoken languages by scholars, but only an astrologer can translate an astrologer's doctrines accurately. The scholars didn't know what the meanings were. Even though they had translated it from the ancient languages, they still didn't know like what any of it meant until an astrologer showed up to learn these ancient unspoken languages for himself. And he translated these records of hidden knowledge. And this astrologer is my teacher, Dr. Rumen Kolev. And I pride myself in amazement of finding and being able to work closely with the best teachers. So, the modern tropical zodiac that is used today is accurate. It is at the level of the surface personality and the psychological workings. However, we can still dive more deeply from this overlaid surface matrix and into the depths of the blueprint of the soul and through the soul's evolutionary path for this lifetime. Okay, we can peel off the masks and we can find the high purpose of this lifetime for each individual and collectively, and the perfect expression, karma, challenges, remedies. When we deep dive through the soul blueprint of the individual horoscope, the patterns, the interactions with the moving sky, we then can really know thyself, and to thine own self can be true. And the gift in this level of simplicity is the path of joy, of focus as our birthright. So, the truth of the macrocosmos equal the microcosmos, and vice versa, as within, so without, so within, as above, so below, and as above, as below, so above. So we can really be the creators. Our seemingly far-fetched dreams and desires can become our reality by simplifying, by decoding the path of growth. And this is individually. We can overcome the obstacles and challenges to living true to ourselves in our right work, success, health, wealth, love, all areas of life, right? So, and during the time of the first Hermes, 5500 BC, this was the time of the documentation of the real and pure astrology as observed on the real sky over a millennia. So this was during the time of the age of Taurus, which was the peak of heightened knowledge on the planet. This was the golden age. It was the age of plenty and of resources. As we've descended down the ages through Aries and then through Pisces, our access to these resources and knowledge has been destroyed by the division of the fire of the Aries age, and then diluted by the waters of our current age of Pisces. Most astrologers today are looking at a 2D fixed image of a projection of the 3D celestial sphere. They're missing too much when they're not looking up at the real sky with their feet on the earth. There's so much that a software replica cannot predict or observe, such as the often unpredictable heliacal rise and set of a planet like Mars, and the changing brightness and colors of each celestial body that have an even greater changing influence than any retrograde or transit that a modern astrologer could speak of or observe on the 2D image, right? So in a horoscope, in an individual's horoscope, the stars of the true astrologer are of the nature of Venus together with Saturn. And this equates to the one who loves and desires Venus to go to the mountains, hills, and with feet on the earth and rocks to find the hidden knowledge. Saturn of the observation in connection with the sky and the human earthly learning experience. And we as astrologers have no choice than to be looking at the real sky in order to be true to ourselves. And we've only barely begun to see the light begin to dawn from the upcoming age of Aquarius. The Aquarian age is It's a shocking, revolutionary air of awakening upon us from where we've been asleep in the watery depths of the Pisces age. The age of Pisces is a time of deception by illusion. Everything has its polarity. Pisces literally has dominion over the 2D screens and images that modern astrologers completely rely on. And what is it that we've been learning of simply trusting an image on a screen, especially lately? There's so much deception. Where do we go when we want to escape? We scroll on a screen. Where do we go? We've got people have like reality TV shows. They go into like, are those real? We have binge watching Netflix, right? Or the movie theaters. These are forms of escapism from reality, from what's real. And whenever we look at media, information from these talking heads on the screens, from anything that's shown on a screen, there's a lot that's missing. Okay, that's the key. There's a lot that's missing. You've got tunnel vision. So much is missing. You can't trust anything that you see on a screen. Okay, not completely. The media, there's so much division. There's so much conflicting information right now. It's near impossible to know what's real by looking at the media, right? So, of course, the age of Pisces has brought us the gifts from learning to surrender to God consciousness and to divine love, where we can receive heightened intuition in this time of surrender of the ego that was prominent during the age of Aries. And Jesus came to teach us this at the beginning of the age of Aquarius. So that's something to pay attention to make it through these next 300 and something years, especially. And being in this beautiful Earth school is quite the journey during these times, these testing times upon us, isn't it? And Venus also. Venus has just made her descent into the underworld here in Texas. You can no longer see her in the sky. She was beautiful, bright, brilliant for 9 months on the western area of the sky at sunset and after sunset also. And she's not there anymore. You can see Jupiter, Saturn, even Mercury for a few more days up there. The moon appeared at the first lunar crescent the other day, right next to Mercury. So beautiful. And Venus descended into the underworld, probably descended earlier if you are closer to the poles and closer to the equator. You may still be able to see her for another day, but she will commune with the sun this weekend. She is burned out by the sun right now and the sun's rays. She has become she was Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, resources, money, sensuality, relationships, friendships, partnerships, romance. So she has descended and become the mythological Persephone, queen of the underworld, the one who goes down to find knowledge and wisdom in the deep, dark depths, the jewels of the underworld, the beautiful crystals, the diamonds, and to come up next week to be Athena, goddess of wisdom, morning star. You will see her in the eastern crown of the rising sun next week. Again, earlier, closer to the equator, later if you're closer to the poles. And during this time of her descent, it's a good time to really, especially this weekend, whenever she is one with the sun, to pay attention to any messages you receive, especially concerning your relationships. It's a time for rebalancing in the world. It's a time to gain wisdom and knowledge, to go within and for self-care and to really embody self-love. And what does this mean? Well, you can stop and ask yourself the question whenever you're in any time of uncertainty. What would someone who loves herself do? What would someone who loves himself do? What would a queen do? What would a king do? Put your crown on. Picture yourself as this and really take the time to yourself and also really observe. Be an observer of what's going on in your external world, in your mirrors. This is the external world and others. Our relationships are our mirrors. They can tell us so much, give us such great gifts of wisdom and knowledge about ourselves. So let this rebalancing take place. The universe really is wise and loving whenever we take the downstream method rather than being plummeted by the waves, and whenever we pay attention to what's going on as the observer. And whenever Venus ascends next week, I believe in Texas, she will be up on the she's retrograde right now, so she has a shorter time in the underworld, which is good. I like I like being blessed by the beautiful brilliance of Venus, as we all do, and she will come up changed and with new wisdom and knowledge. So in Texas around the 12th, I believe, and if you are closer to the poles, uh, you can see her a little bit later. You can see her in the morning before sunrise. And go out if you can, if you will, and greet her. Let her know what you desire for this new cycle, her new 9-month cycle pertaining to the areas of life that she rules: business, relationships, love, money, pleasure, desire. So while she's in the underworld, we're reassessing our desires, and it's time to rebalance. But Athena, morning star Venus, is the goddess of wisdom. She's the goddess who was the strategist and consultant of righteous war and friendship between countries. And whenever she shows up, she's in Sagittarius now. She's descending in Sagittarius, coming up in Sagittarius. This is the area of beliefs, of truth, of how our beliefs affecting our relationships or our money, and the way that we handle our resources or attract or repel our resources or relationships. So these are very important questions to ask yourself during this time. And yeah, so may you be enlightened during this Venus underworld journey and through this time of awakening that we are in. And I know that these times can be testing upon us lately. We are in a very testing cycle, and it's not over yet. If you are curious as to how an embodied astrologer, myself, may assist you in living your highest purpose through these pivotal times, I invite you to book a complimentary visioning session with me to see if we're a good fit to work together and how my services may be of help to you. If you're ready to jump into your natal soul blueprint and receive individual embodied soul guidance for this year, for this lifetime, I invite you to book a natal astrology consultation. And you can do this and you can learn more about my services, including energy healing, spending more time with me, that opportunity of the VIP day, at thestarqueen.com/services. And if you would like to be notified first whenever I give these astrological updates, you can click the subscribe button. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, my blog at thestarqueen.com/blog. And again, I wish you well, to have a blessed Venus invisible journey, and to remember the universe is wise and loving.